The Rabbit Hole. Dive Deep, Rise Higher. By David Russo. Introduction. Life often whispers, or sometimes shouts, for us to step beyond what we already know. It could be a question, an opportunity, a challenge, or even a simple spark of curiosity. That is the moment we teeter on the edge of the rabbit hole, a portal into the unknown where comfort ends and growth begins. The Rabbit Hole. Dive Deep, Rise Higher is an invitation to take that leap, to explore the depths of your potential, and to emerge transformed, personally, professionally, and creatively. This book is about more than simply following curiosity. It's about cultivating the courage to face uncertainty, the patience to navigate complexity, and the resilience to learn from failure. Each chapter is a guide through a different stage of the journey, from the initial fall into new challenges, to confronting obstacles, to discovering unexpected insights and forging meaningful connections. Along the way, you will encounter practical exercises, stories of people who dared to dive deep, and reflections designed to help you harness your curiosity into action. The rabbit hole is both literal and metaphorical. It represents those moments in life where we are pulled beyond the familiar, into ideas, experiences, and practices that stretch our thinking and shape our character. But diving in is only the beginning. True transformation comes when we rise higher, when lessons become habits, insights become achievements, and growth becomes impact. Whether you are seeking personal evolution, professional breakthroughs, or simply a deeper understanding of yourself and the world around you, this book will be your companion. Together, we will explore how curiosity can become courage, challenges can become catalysts, and the unknown can become a landscape of endless possibility. Welcome to your rabbit hole. Your journey of discovery starts here. Chapter 1. Falling In. There comes a moment in every life, a flicker, a question, a tiny whisper, that calls you to step beyond what is familiar. Maybe it's a thought that keeps you awake at night. What if I could do more? What if I tried something completely different? Or perhaps it's a challenge that drops into your lap, unexpected and unnerving, asking you to rise to the occasion. That moment, small and fragile as it may seem, is the edge of the rabbit hole. Imagine standing at the top of a diving board, looking down into water that seems impossibly deep. Your heart pounds. Excitement tangles with fear. You can't see the bottom. And yet, something inside insists you take the leap. That is curiosity, the first spark of growth. It doesn't come with guarantees or safety nets. It only comes with possibility. Consider Jamal, who took up marathon running in his 40s despite decades of a sedentary lifestyle. On the first day, he laced up his shoes, his knees protested, his lungs burned, and even the simplest steps felt impossible. But with every step, he discovered a resilience he never knew he had. His rabbit hole wasn't a career leap. It was a physical challenge, but the principle was the same. Stepping into the unknown stretches your limits and redefines what is possible. Falling in is not about recklessness. It's about embracing the tension between fear and excitement, between doubt and possibility. It's about choosing growth over comfort, knowing that transformation begins where the familiar ends. When you take that first step into uncertainty, you signal to yourself that you are ready to evolve. That is the essence of the rabbit hole. Consider Lila, who had spent years giving confident public speeches in front of audiences. When she stepped onto a comedy stage for the first time, she expected the same ease, but mid-set, her mind went blank, and the carefully prepared jokes vanished. For a tense few seconds, she froze, the silence stretching like a spotlight on her uncertainty. Then, almost instinctively, she joked about forgetting her own material. The audience laughed, breaking the tension, and she found her rhythm again. That night, she realized that failure wasn't the end. It was part of the performance, and embracing it could turn panic into connection, fear into laughter. And here is the truth. No one ever climbs higher while staying in their comfort zone. Every moment of meaningful growth begins with a step into the unknown. The rabbit hole waits for those willing to follow curiosity, to confront discomfort, and to explore beyond the edge. So take a breath, lean forward, feel the thrill and the fear coiling together, and then fall. You might not know where you will land, but I promise you this. The moment you take that step, you are already on the path to becoming more than you ever imagined. Growth begins at the edge. Step into it and rise higher. Chapter 2. The Curiosity Spark. After you step beyond what's familiar, something subtle but powerful begins to stir: curiosity. It shows up as a quiet nudge in your mind, posing questions like, why does this work the way it does? Or what might happen if I tried another approach? Curiosity is the driving force behind progress. It's what pushes us to explore, learn, and evolve. Without it, even brave beginnings can lose momentum. With it, ordinary moments can open the door to extraordinary change. Curiosity doesn't offer a clear route or a set of rules. Instead, it acts more like an inner signal, drawing your attention toward unexplored possibilities. When you listen to it, you start to notice opportunities that once blended into the background, a topic that captures your interest, a skill you've never developed, or an idea worth pursuing. Life shifts from feeling repetitive to feeling alive, intentional, and filled with possibility. Following curiosity isn't always comfortable. It often asks you to question long-held beliefs and routines. It challenges you to consider that there may be more than one way to live, work, or think. These questions can feel unsettling, but they're also revealing. By entertaining them, you uncover abilities you didn't know you had and pathways you never noticed before. To awaken your own curiosity, try this. Choose one part of your life that feels stagnant or uninspiring. Then ask yourself 3 questions. Why has it stayed this way? What could change if I experimented? What do I want to understand better here? Write freely, without filtering your thoughts. Even a single insight can become the starting point for meaningful growth. Curiosity isn't meant to stay theoretical. While thinking and reading matter, it truly gains power through action, testing ideas, learning by doing, and being willing to adjust as you go. Like a muscle, curiosity strengthens with use. Over time, it becomes less about finding definite answers and more about remaining open to discovery. Most importantly, curiosity doesn't just expand what you know, it reshapes who you become. Each question stretches your perspective, each exploration sharpens your thinking, and each challenge builds your capacity. Your world grows wider, and so does your sense of what's possible. Nurture that curiosity. Pay attention to what excites your mind, even when the direction isn't obvious. Let questions lead you forward. The spark you follow today may guide you toward insights, opportunities, and a life far richer than you ever anticipated. Chapter 3. Facing the Maze. Curiosity has pulled you into the rabbit hole, and now you find yourself in the maze. The walls twist and turn, the path is unclear, and the deeper you go, the more complex the journey becomes. This is where growth truly begins, not at the first leap, but in navigating the uncertainty that follows. Life doesn't hand out maps for the maze. Challenges appear without warning. Unexpected setbacks, moments of self-doubt, obstacles that test your patience and resilience. You may feel lost, unsure if you're moving forward or circling back. And yet, this is exactly where transformation happens. The maze is not a sign to quit. It is the proving ground for your curiosity, courage, and determination. Consider a writer whose debut novel was rejected by dozens of publishers. Each rejection letter could have been the end of the journey, but he persisted. He revised, experimented, and let the maze of trial and error teach him. Slowly, the pieces fell into place. Eventually, his work found its audience, and today he inspires aspiring writers to embrace the process of perseverance, patience, and craft. The maze was not a trap. It was the workshop where his talent was forged. His name? David Russo. Challenges are inevitable because growth requires change, and change is rarely comfortable. The maze tests your patience, your focus, and your belief in yourself. It forces you to confront doubt, fear, and uncertainty. But here's the paradox. The very obstacles you fear are the ones that shape you. They teach resilience, resourcefulness, and clarity. They force you to discover strength you didn't know existed. Also consider John. He was a practicing lawyer and nothing more, until one day he started writing. That single decision set him on a path that would lead to best-selling books and movies. He wove his legal experience into his stories, turning what he knew into worlds others could step into. One day of writing transformed his life and career forever. In New York City, fans waited in lines around the building, books clutched in hand, hoping for his autograph. His name? John Grisham. One mindset shift can transform how you navigate the maze. See obstacles not as roadblocks, but as opportunities for learning. Each difficulty is a teacher. Each failure is data. Each confusing turn is a chance to practice creativity, problem solving, and persistence. The maze is less about reaching a predetermined endpoint and more about developing the skills, insight, and courage you need to thrive in the unknown. Here's an exercise to help you embrace the maze. Identify one current challenge or uncertainty in your life. Ask yourself, what is this situation teaching me? How can I respond creatively instead of resisting? What small step can I take today that moves me forward, even if imperfectly? Taking action, no matter how small, turns uncertainty into progress. Remember, complexity is not your enemy, it is your ally. The twists and turns of the maze stretch you, expand your thinking, and prepare you for the deeper layers of growth that lie ahead. Embrace the unknown. Welcome the challenge. Trust that every step, even the missteps, are moving you closer to becoming the person you are capable of being. The maze is not a detour from your journey. It is your journey. Face it fully, move deliberately, and rise higher with every turn. Chapter 4. Tools for the Journey. The descent goes further than you expected. The corridors curve back on themselves, and the obstacles don't arrive one at a time. They stack up. By now, you've learned that bravery and curiosity open the door, but they don't always carry you through. To keep moving amid uncertainty, you need tools. Not tools you can hold in your hands, but inner structures, ways of thinking, daily practices, and learned skills that steady you when progress feels hard-won. Imagine how explorers prepare before stepping into unfamiliar terrain. No one attempts a summit without a plan, reliable gear, and training. Growth works the same way. Advancement, whether personal or professional, demands intention, repetition, and systems that support you when motivation fades or the route becomes unclear. Resilience is one of the most essential pieces of this equipment. Difficulty is not optional, it's part of the landscape. Resilience is what allows you to bend without breaking, to regroup, and to move forward again. Consider Thomas, a teacher worn down by exhaustion and limited resources in a struggling school. Rather than walking away, he built habits that restored his energy, leaned on experienced mentors, and reminded himself daily why his work mattered. Over time, those practices reshaped how he met challenges and allowed him to uplift students even in difficult circumstances. I know of many teachers who have faced similar challenges and, through their determination, enriched their students' lives, students who later carried that inspiration into their own careers. Focus is another indispensable tool. Distraction is everywhere, and attention is finite. Learning to direct it intentionally helps you navigate the maze with purpose instead of wandering in circles. Techniques such as blocking time, clarifying priorities, and dividing large goals into smaller steps transform confusion into forward motion. Focus doesn't make the journey easy, but it gives you a strategy for facing it. Just as important is resourcefulness. Rarely does life follow the original blueprint. Being resourceful means adapting, experimenting, and making the most of what's already within reach. Take Eli, an artist who built on his formal training but felt compelled to fully commit to his own vision. He immersed himself in experimentation, collaborated with his community, and embraced every challenge as an opportunity. By doing so, he turned constraints into catalysts and forged a path to doing his art full-time. These tools extend beyond mindset into everyday practices that sustain you. Writing to untangle your thoughts, pausing to breathe and reset your mind, and regularly reviewing your progress may seem modest, but repeated over time, they form a powerful structure of support. Small, consistent rituals become the framework that holds you steady as you climb. To begin assembling your toolkit, try this. Identify one place where you feel stalled or unsure. Ask yourself which skill, habit, or perspective could help you move forward. Then choose one small action you can repeat daily to strengthen it. Keep it simple. Consistency, not intensity, creates momentum. Remember, tools work best together. Resilience without direction can lead to exhaustion. Focus without flexibility can turn into rigidity. When combined, these strengths create a stable base that allows you to move deeper into the unknown with assurance. The path is demanding, but it's also full of potential. Prepare yourself. Sharpen your thinking, solidify your habits, and develop the skills that convert barriers into stepping stones. With the right tools in hand, each turn of the maze becomes an invitation, each challenge a lesson, and each uncertainty an opening for change. The rabbit hole goes on, but with preparation and practice, you won't merely endure the journey. You'll grow stronger because of it. Chapter 5. Allies in the Depths. As you move deeper into the rabbit hole, it becomes clear the journey is not meant to be traveled alone. Challenges are tougher, uncertainties more complex, and victories sweeter when shared. Allies, mentors, peers, and communities are the companions who help you navigate the depths, providing guidance, support, and perspective when the path seems unclear. No explorer conquers a maze without a map, and no path of growth is fully traversed without the wisdom of those who have walked before. Allies offer insight that shortcuts trial and error, encouragement when self-doubt creeps in, and honest feedback that sharpens your thinking. They do not carry the journey for you, but they illuminate the way, helping you see around corners you might miss. Consider the story of Javier, a software developer who wanted to launch a tech startup. Alone, he felt overwhelmed by the complexity of the project, the risk of failure, and the pace of learning required. But when he sought out mentors, experienced entrepreneurs willing to share their experiences, he found guidance that transformed uncertainty into actionable steps. Peers and co-working groups offered accountability, collaboration, and new perspectives. Together, their support accelerated his growth in ways he could never have achieved in isolation. At the same time he was growing his software business, Javier pursued a completely different venture, a luxury car rental and limo service aimed at celebrities. He combined his love for high-end cars with his entrepreneurial skills, managing logistics, client relationships, and marketing in an entirely new industry. This second business challenged him in ways the tech world never had, teaching him lessons about customer service, brand image, and the importance of networking in high-stakes environments. By successfully running two businesses at once, Javier showed that curiosity and ambition could open doors across very different fields. Allies are not only mentors, they are fellow travelers who share your curiosity, passion, and drive. Think of Alex, a photographer who dreamed of capturing landscapes in new and breathtaking ways. By joining a community of fellow photographers, he exchanged ideas, techniques, and constructive feedback. Inspired by their encouragement, he experimented with a drone to capture stunning aerial perspectives, revealing angles of the world he had never imagined. Some of these original images have since been sold, bringing his work to a wider audience. The success and creative breakthroughs he achieved were magnified by the support and shared energy of the community around him. Collaboration and connection also teach an essential truth. Independence is powerful, but interdependence is transformative. Allies challenge you, hold you accountable, and inspire you to reach higher than you would alone. They offer perspectives you could never discover in isolation. Growth is never just personal, it is relational. Every lesson you learn, every insight you gain, is magnified when shared and refined in the company of others. Here's an exercise to begin building your network of allies. Identify one person whose experience or perspective could guide you on your journey. Reach out with curiosity and openness. Ask questions, seek advice, or propose collaboration. Even small connections can grow into profound relationships that support your growth. Then, consider how you can contribute back: mentorship, encouragement, or shared resources, because the strongest communities are reciprocal. It's also important to remember that allies come in many forms: a mentor who has walked the path, a peer navigating a similar challenge, a coach, or even a virtual community of like-minded individuals. What matters is the alignment of intention, curiosity, and commitment to growth. When you cultivate these connections, you create a network that amplifies your potential, strengthens your resilience, and reminds you that no journey, no matter how deep, is meant to be faced alone. The rabbit hole is deeper, the maze more intricate, and the challenges more demanding than any one person can manage by themselves. Allies are not a luxury, they are a necessity. Seek them, nurture them, and be one yourself. Together, you do not just navigate the depths, you rise higher, learn faster, and achieve more than you ever could on your own. In the depths of the rabbit hole, The right allies transform uncertainty into opportunity, struggle into mastery, and curiosity into shared discovery. Your journey is yours, but the companions you choose will shape the trajectory, the depth, and the joy of every step you take. That truth can be seen clearly in the lives of those who came before us. Earl Schoaf, a skilled businessman, mentored Jim Rohn and taught him the ropes, helping shape him into one of the most influential motivational speakers of his time. Jim, in turn, mentored Anthony Robbins, grooming him into a global voice in personal development. The right allies don't just change a moment, they shape legacies. The same dynamic exists in the music industry. An up-and-coming artist like Youngblood formed a connection with Ozzy Osbourne, and that proximity helped expand his reach and accelerate his career. Across fields, business, speaking, or music, the right relationships don't just influence direction, they amplify what's possible. Chapter 6. Lessons from the Strange. As you journey deeper into the rabbit hole, you start to realize that growth rarely comes from the familiar or predictable. The greatest lessons often arrive from the strange, the unexpected, the unconventional. Failure, setbacks, and detours, once seen as obstacles, become teachers. The surprises, the discomforts, and even the oddities in life carry insights that conventional paths rarely reveal. Consider the story of Joel Osteen, a pastor who spent years behind the scenes supporting his father, faithfully helping lead the congregation without ever seeking the spotlight. When his father passed away, Joel unexpectedly stepped into the role of senior pastor, only to face the quiet resistance of a congregation accustomed to his father's voice, presence, and leadership. At first, the comparisons were unavoidable, and the weight of expectation was heavy. But rather than trying to imitate his father, Joel leaned into his own calling and authentic voice. Over time, by staying faithful and consistent, he earned trust and grew into the role. The lesson: stepping into someone else's legacy isn't about replacing them. It's about becoming who you were meant to be. The truth is, the rabbit hole rewards those willing to embrace experimentation. Growth comes not from repeating what already works, but from trying what hasn't been tried, exploring what seems uncomfortable, and seeing opportunity where others see confusion or failure. Each strange encounter, each unexpected outcome, is a doorway to insight. Here's an exercise to cultivate this mindset. Identify one recent setback, mistake, or strange moment in your life. Ask yourself, what did this teach me? How could this experience open a new path or perspective? What unconventional action could I take based on this insight? Writing down your answers helps transform frustration into learning and curiosity into experimentation. Another key aspect of learning from the strange is embracing creative thinking. The world often rewards conformity, but transformation demands innovation. Trying an unusual approach, asking a question no one else asks, or exploring an idea others dismiss as impractical often produces breakthroughs. Innovation is rarely linear. It thrives in the messy, the uncertain, and the unconventional. Failures, setbacks, and odd detours also build resilience. Every time you face what you didn't expect, adapt, and move forward, you strengthen your ability to navigate future challenges. The strange teaches flexibility, courage, and the capacity to see possibilities where others see only obstacles. Remember, the rabbit hole is full of surprises. Some may be confusing, some uncomfortable, and some downright bizarre, but within each lies a lesson. The key is not to avoid the strange, but to lean into it. Be curious about what others dismiss. Experiment boldly, learn actively, and let the unconventional shape your path. Growth rarely happens in straight lines. It comes in curves, detours, and unexpected leaps. Those who thrive in the rabbit hole are the ones who don't fear the strange. They study it, they learn from it, and they turn it into fuel for transformation. So, embrace the unexpected. Explore the odd, the uncomfortable, and the unfamiliar. Treat every setback, mistake, or detour as a mentor disguised in disguise. The strange is not a distraction, it is a guide. And when you follow its lessons, you discover insights, strengths, and possibilities you never knew existed. Chapter 7. The Inner Rabbit. As you journey deeper into the rabbit hole, you begin to realize that the greatest challenges are not always external. The maze, the strange lessons, the setbacks, They test you, yes, but the most persistent obstacles often live within: fear, doubt, procrastination, and self-limiting beliefs. The inner rabbit, the part of you that hesitates, questions, and resists, is where transformation is truly forged. Think of the inner rabbit as your own personal gatekeeper. It wants comfort, certainty, and safety. It whispers, "What if you fail? What if you're not ready?" For a moment, it can feel like a burden, but it is also an invitation. Because once you learn to face the inner rabbit, to meet fear with curiosity rather than avoidance, you unlock a deep well of courage, focus, and self-belief. Take the story of a man who spent his days selling women's shoes, even though his heart was set on helping people in a much bigger way. During his lunch breaks, while others relaxed, he studied an entirely different industry, reading, learning, and imagining himself doing meaningful work on a larger stage. Eventually, he gathered the courage to step in front of a camera and speak. At first, it was just his voice and a message he believed in. Over time, those talks resonated, attracting millions of subscribers and opening the door to a thriving coaching business. Today, he leads seminars around the world, proving that humble beginnings don't define your destination. Consistent action does. Overcoming the inner rabbit requires self-awareness. Begin by noticing the thoughts and emotions that hold you back. Name them. Write them down. Once identified, these fears lose some of their power. Awareness allows you to respond thoughtfully rather than react automatically. It turns anxiety into information and hesitation into insight. Another essential tool is mental clarity. The rabbit hole can feel overwhelming. Complexity and uncertainty can cloud judgment and sap energy. Techniques such as journaling, meditation, and reflection create space to observe your thoughts without being controlled by them. They help you focus on what truly matters, separate signal from noise, and make decisions aligned with your purpose. Persistence is also key. The inner rabbit loves to convince you that quitting is easier, safer, or smarter. But the truth is that progress often comes in small, consistent steps. Overcoming procrastination, doubts, and self-sabotage is less about heroic bursts of effort and more about disciplined, repeated action. Each small victory chips away at fear and strengthens self-belief. Here's an exercise to meet your inner rabbit. Identify one fear or self-doubt that has been holding you back. Write it down. Then ask, what is the smallest action I can take today that challenges this fear? Take that action. No matter how small, it signals to yourself that courage is possible. Momentum grows from small steps, and each step trains the inner rabbit to step aside. Remember, the inner rabbit is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It shows where your boundaries, habits, and beliefs are being challenged. Lean into it with curiosity, compassion, and persistence. When you master your inner landscape, the external maze becomes far less intimidating. You discover a quiet but unshakable confidence, a resilience that cannot be borrowed from mentors or peers, and a clarity that guides every decision, every turn, every leap. The journey through the rabbit hole is as much inward as it is outward. Growth is never complete until you have met, understood, and befriended your inner rabbit. Face it, learn from it, transform it. When you do, fear becomes fuel, doubt becomes insight, and procrastination becomes action. The rabbit hole is no longer just a path through the unknown. It becomes a path to yourself. Chapter 8. Emergence. After journeying through the twists of the maze, learning from the strange, and facing the inner rabbit, a moment arrives when the growth you've cultivated begins to surface. This is the point of emergence, the moment when insight, skill, and courage translate into action, when transformation moves from the internal to the external, and your life starts to reflect the depth of your journey. Emergence is not sudden. It is often quiet at first, a subtle shift in perspective, a new habit taking root, a confidence that no longer wavers in small but meaningful ways. Like a seed breaking through the soil, the growth that has been developing underground now starts to reach toward the light. You begin to see the results of curiosity, resilience, and discipline manifest in tangible ways. Take the story of Carlos, a skilled mechanic who spent years working for a large company, honing his craft and learning the ins and outs of the trade. Over time, he grew frustrated with rigid schedules and long commutes, and began experimenting with the idea of starting his own business from home. At first, progress was slow. Finding clients, setting up his workspace, and earning trust felt uncertain. But through persistence and careful planning, small successes began to build. Word of mouth spread, repeat customers returned, and his home-based shop gradually became a reliable livelihood. Emergence is rarely flashy. It is the steady unveiling of growth over time. Emergence also thrives on small wins. Each accomplishment, no matter how minor it seems, compounds into momentum. Finishing a task you've been procrastinating on, mastering a new skill, or successfully navigating a challenge all feed your confidence and propel you forward. Momentum is not accidental. It is built through consistent action, reflection, and courage. One practical approach is to identify areas where you can act immediately on what you've learned. Ask yourself, what is one thing I can do today that demonstrates growth? Then do it. Repeated small actions create a pattern of success, reinforcing the skills, mindset, and resilience you've developed in the depths of the rabbit hole. The act of doing bridges the gap between insight and reality. Emergence is also about applying your lessons beyond yourself. As you rise, you start to see the ripple effects of your growth, how your courage inspires others, how your insights create new opportunities, and how your curiosity opens doors for innovation. The internal transformation becomes visible in your work, relationships, and contributions. You begin to operate not just with knowledge, but with mastery, clarity, and purpose. It's important to recognize that emergence is a process, not a destination. Growth is ongoing, and the deeper you explore, the more you realize there is to integrate and apply. Yet, in these moments of emergence, you witness the power of persistence, reflection, and courage. You see what was once invisible become tangible. You see the journey, every step of doubt, fear, and experimentation materialize into something meaningful. Here's an exercise to cultivate emergence. Reflect on your recent experiences in the rabbit hole. Identify 3 actions you can take that demonstrate what you've learned. They can be small or bold, internal or external. Commit to taking them within the next week. Notice how these actions shift your confidence, perspective, and momentum. Each step is proof that growth is no longer theoretical. It is alive in your life. Emergence is the reward of the journey, but it is also the beginning of the next phase. What you have developed inside now shapes what you create outside. Every insight applied, every habit reinforced, and every challenge met with courage fuels your transformation. You are no longer just exploring. You are evolving, and the world begins to notice. Step forward. Take action. Apply the lessons, share your growth, and let the world witness your emergence. The rabbit hole has changed you, and now your transformation begins to show. Chapter 9. Sharing the Journey. By now, you have explored the rabbit hole, faced the maze, learned from the strange, and emerged with new skills, insight, and resilience. You have grown, and your life has begun to reflect that transformation. But the journey does not end with personal achievement. True mastery, true fulfillment, comes when you share what you have discovered, mentor others, and create impact beyond yourself. Growth becomes most meaningful when it contributes to the growth of others. Sharing the journey is both an act of generosity and a reinforcement of your own transformation. Every lesson you pass on, every insight you offer, and every example you set strengthens your understanding and solidifies your progress. Teaching, mentoring, or inspiring others is not just about them. It also deepens your own growth and perspective. Take the story of Marcus, who bounced between jobs for years, trying everything from retail to operations, never quite finding the right fit. Along the way, he learned what actually made salespeople succeed and what made them fail. When he began teaching those skills and helping companies hire and train the right sales talent, something clicked. His ability to break down sales into repeatable systems sharpened, his confidence grew, and his impact multiplied. The rabbit hole, he realized, was never just about finding his own career. It was about building scalable success for others. Sharing is not limited to formal mentoring. It can be as simple as listening, offering guidance, collaborating, or modeling courage and resilience in your everyday life. Each act of generosity, no matter how small, plants a seed for someone else's growth. When you open yourself to helping others, You create a cycle of learning, inspiration, and transformation that extends far beyond your personal achievements. One way to begin is to identify someone in your life, or even in your community, who could benefit from what you have learned. Ask yourself, how can I help them navigate their own rabbit hole? What guidance, encouragement, or resources can I share? Small, consistent acts of mentorship often have the largest impact. By being present, offering your experience, and modeling curiosity and courage, you become a guide, a beacon, and a source of inspiration. Sharing the journey also deepens your connection to purpose. The rabbit hole is not just about achieving goals. It is about discovering how your growth can enrich the world around you. When you focus on contribution, your work gains meaning, your struggles gain perspective, and your victories are amplified by the positive change you help create. Transformation becomes a shared experience rather than a solitary achievement. Here's an exercise to put sharing into practice. Reflect on your journey and identify one lesson, insight, or habit that had the greatest impact on your growth. Find a way to communicate it through conversation, writing, teaching, or collaboration. Notice how sharing not only empowers others, but reinforces and clarifies your own understanding. The act of giving becomes a mirror for your growth. Remember, the rabbit hole is never just about you. Every mentor, every peer, and every story that has inspired you exists because someone dared to share their journey. Now it is your turn. By sharing, you create a chain of transformation, one that extends beyond your own life, leaving a legacy of curiosity, courage, and growth. The deeper you have gone, the more valuable your guidance becomes. Step forward with generosity. Share your lessons, support others, and amplify the impact of the journey. In giving back, you complete the circle of growth, proving that the rabbit hole is not just a path for personal discovery. It is a path for contribution, connection, and lasting influence. Chapter 10: The Next Rabbit Hole. By now, you have traveled through curiosity, faced challenges, embraced the strange, developed resilience, and shared your growth with others. You have emerged transformed, stronger, and wiser. Yet the journey of the rabbit hole is never truly complete. Life itself is a series of rabbit holes, each one offering new opportunities, new challenges, and new depths to explore. The end of one journey is simply the beginning of the next. The essence of the rabbit hole is continuous curiosity. It is the refusal to settle for the familiar, the willingness to explore beyond comfort, and the courage to embrace uncertainty again and again. Every discovery you make, every skill you master, and every insight you gain prepares you for the next adventure. Growth is not a destination, it is a lifelong expedition. There's a famous story about a scientist who worked so relentlessly that he was eventually forced to take a vacation. When he returned to his lab, he discovered that the bacteria he had been studying had grown mold, something most people would have thrown away. Instead, he leaned in. That mold led Alexander Fleming down an unexpected rabbit hole and ultimately to the discovery of penicillin. What looked like a mistake became a medical revolution. Progress doesn't always come from staying the course. Sometimes it comes from following curiosity where it wasn't supposed to go. The next rabbit hole may take many forms. It could be a new career path, a personal challenge, a creative project, or a shift in mindset. What matters is not the specifics, but the willingness to step into uncertainty, trust your curiosity, and leverage the skills and wisdom you've accumulated. Every new challenge is an opportunity to deepen your growth, stretch your potential, and discover what you are truly capable of. Here's a practical exercise to prepare for your next rabbit hole. Reflect on areas of your life where curiosity still lingers, where questions remain unanswered, skills remain untested, or experiences remain unexplored. Ask yourself, what excites me? What scares me? What could I learn by diving in fully? Choose one area and commit to taking the first step, no matter how small. Curiosity is a compass. Action is the path. Another key insight is that the journey is enriched by the lessons of previous rabbit holes. The resilience you built, the inner rabbit you befriended, the allies you gained, and the insights you gathered all become your tools for future exploration. You are no longer the person who first stepped into the unknown. You are a navigator, capable of facing deeper, more complex, and more rewarding journeys. Remember, Every ending is an invitation. Life will always present new questions, challenges, and opportunities for growth. The fear of the unknown may rise again, but so will excitement, courage, and the spark of curiosity that first drew you into the rabbit hole. Your task is simple: lean in, step forward, and embrace the adventure. The rabbit hole is endless, and that is its greatest gift. Each journey transforms you, each challenge strengthens you, and each exploration expands the horizon of possibility. Your growth does not stop. It evolves, multiplies, and reaches farther than you ever imagined. So, take a deep breath. Look ahead. The next rabbit hole waits. Step into it with curiosity, courage, and confidence. Trust yourself, trust the process, and remember, the journey is the reward. Every rabbit hole, no matter how strange or challenging, leads to discovery, transformation, and the life you are meant to live. The adventure is endless. The rewards are boundless. And the only limit is the depth of your curiosity and the courage of your next step. Conclusion: the journey through the rabbit hole is never truly over. What begins as a single step into curiosity evolves into a lifelong practice of exploration, growth, and transformation. By now, you have glimpsed the power of diving deep. The way challenges sharpen your skills, setbacks reveal hidden opportunities, and curiosity can illuminate paths you never imagined. But more than that, you have seen how growth is not a destination. It is a continuous process, a cycle of falling, learning, emerging, and giving back. As you close this book, the rabbit hole does not close behind you. It stretches endlessly, inviting you to take the next leap, to explore the unknown corners of your potential, and to embrace challenges that once felt daunting. You have learned to face uncertainty with courage, to seek allies in the depths, and to trust the insights that arise from unexpected places. You have discovered that your inner mindset, the way you approach fear, doubt, and distraction, is as critical as any external skill. The real transformation begins when the lessons from the rabbit hole ripple outward, when knowledge turns into action, when small wins accumulate into momentum, and when your growth inspires and elevates others. Every time you take a risk, ask a bold question, or follow your curiosity, you are stepping into another rabbit hole, another opportunity to rise higher. Remember, the journey is as much about the process as the outcomes. Life's most profound discoveries often come not from the safe path, but from the places that challenge you, surprise you, and stretch you. Embrace those moments. Lean into them. Dive deep, rise higher, and keep exploring. The rabbit hole is never ending, and your potential is limitless.